You're watching Meet the Movie Press, and coming up, we're going to be talking about Batman, Han Solo, the Deathnote trailer, Power Rangers, whole bunch of good stuff. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk, we talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's Meet the Movie Press.
Good morning, Simon.
Hey, Jeff, how are you?
I am good. How are you guys?
Good. You're very quiet. I can't hear you properly.
I am well.
Can you hear me now?
Your microphone's very quiet.
It's a little bit echoey. How do I sound in the booth?
Still clear.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, let's roll with it.
Just my stupid
I'm
old ears.
I
can
am
hear you
Jeff
okay.
Sneider, host of Meet the Movie Press, editor-in-chief of the tracking board, tracking-dashboard.com. With me, as always,
Simon Thompson, hello. I'm your co-pilot. I'm the Chewbacca to your Han Solo. You can find me on Twitter at ShowbizSimon, Instagram at ShowbizSimon, and Facebook. There's a Facebook page. This is Simon Thompson.
and with us today, we have the return, that sounds a lot better, of Neil Turitz.
Hello, Neil.
Hello, everyone. I'm the C-3PO to this whole enterprise.
Slightly effeminate robot.
And where can the good folks find you?
Also, tracking-board.com. I'm the columnist there, and my column appears 3 times a week, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Which you know.
Yeah.
Because you're my editor.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Not really, though.
Well,
A good leader delegates. He delegates.
write what you want, Neil. It's fine.
Yeah. All right. Where do we start, Simon? I'm going to let you pick this
Okay,
week.
let's start with Star Wars. There's a lot of Star Wars stuff.
Yeah. First of all, I just looked.
this week.
I just went on Twitter just now to tweet the show out,
Yeah.
and I had a 99 plus notification sign. So I was like, "Oh God, what did I say?" And it was just my Star Wars tweet, which was literally just recalling all the new stuff that was announced yesterday that I saw in Variety. It got picked up and went viral or whatever. 700 retweets and likes and all this bullshit. So it always surprises me what actually catches on, what is considered news, because I almost didn't even tweet this
I love the way you
yesterday.
talk about your social media influence
Right off the
as
bat.
all this bullshit.
Because I honestly
Humble brag?
I know.
Is that what it is? Is that what you call humble
I
brag?
didn't tweet it out yesterday because I'm like, is this news? Is this new? I don't know. So
Here's
why
the
don't
key.
you tell us?
But don't retweet on every single tweet now, and it'll go huge.
Why don't you recap what was announced yesterday?
Okay, so Bob Iger's been talking a lot this week. 2 of the major things that came out: Han Solo, obviously the upcoming Han Solo movie, which we don't know the title of. It's still referred to as Red Cup. Han Solo is apparently, we're going to find out in the movie how he got his name, which means that Han Solo isn't Han Solo's name.
Right. Normally, you get your name from your parents when
Yeah,
you're born.
yeah, but obviously
I assume
this
it'll
is
be more interesting than that.
I actually assumed that his real last name is Ren, and Kylo Ren just went to the original name
Well, this
of
is-
the family and took that as an FU to his dad.
Well, this
who
is
he
why
hates.
initially I thought it was strange. And I was like, well, why would you do that? But at the same time, and this ties in with what you were just saying, another decade of Star Wars, decade and a half of Star Wars movies has been announced. Now, obviously, at the moment with the Star Wars timeline, unless you go in for some super minutiae detail that needs to become canon, it is easier as a path to suddenly do something like that, where you do go into a character we already know's backstory, origins, and spin something off from that, which creates a whole new strand, which means that it's easier to create new characters, new stories, etc., because you don't have to directly tie into the minutiae of the plot that are there in other movies and mess around with timelines and blah, blah, blah.
Right, but this is doing that. This is tying into all that stuff.
It
It's
is,
canon.
but by creating a new arm on the Star Wars family tree, potentially.
Isn't that what they did with Rogue One, though? I mean,
Yeah.
they basically they reverse
Exactly.
engineered the plot so
And
that
they
it would
found
line
out
right
that
up
it-
with the
right,
beginning
yeah,
of
and
episode
and they
4.
found out that it works and that people will watch it and engage with that, and you can introduce characters that didn't previously exist to the hardcore audience, to the mainstream audience, and so it
Sure, but-
gives you a bit more freedom.
But how important can those characters be? If we don't see them down the line either, like Rogue One introduced a whole bunch of new characters, but then they killed them.
They killed all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But do you know what? It's still it's people don't seem to mind as an audience. You can do that.
Okay, well,
The audiences we found out now, especially with Star Wars, you don't always have to carry those characters through. You can have them for standalone sort of episodes in this galaxy, and you can kill them off because it won't have any consequence on any of the timelines or anything else. But you can still create a completely independent, fun story with that heritage, which is going to bring the money in.
oh god, this is already way too fucking nerdy for me on Friday morning. I'm sorry. So Han Solo, it's going to cover him from 18 to 24. We're going to learn how he gets his name, how he met Chewbacca, how he acquired the Millennium Falcon,
And don't forget,
and tell about the
Lin-
Carrie Fisher film.
and Lando Calrissian as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
His buddy.
That's
how
true.
he became buddies with him.
Simon and Neil, what do you guys think about the Carrie Fisher thing?
Well, this just to give this some prefix, the story is the fact that The Last Jedi won't be altered because of Carrie Fisher's death.
But how could it have been altered anyway? I
Exactly.
mean, they weren't going to cut anything that she did. They weren't going to add anything that was on the cutting room floor
Yeah.
that they shot. I mean, the only thing they had to do extra was looping, was ADR, and they'll probably bring in someone to cover her voice. But I mean, it's not like they were going to kill her off and to make the...
Yeah, no, she completed work on 8.
Yeah.
The question is what's
kill
going
the
to happen
character
with,
off.
with
Obviously,
9.
God killed her off. But anyway.
Okay.
That one weird. Sorry,
Yeah.
it was funnier in my head before I said it. I apologize.
I don't think that Disney particularly enjoyed the reaction to the CGI characters in Star Wars, so I think that they're going to be a little bit more careful about that kind of stuff going forward.
but if
Well,
anything-
actually, I disagree. I think that the Grand Moff Tarkin one actually came off. Are you talking about Rogue One?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was fucking creepy. It
Really?
doesn't matter how good it looked. I think that the reaction, the only thing people weren't writing about how cool it is. They were writing how creepy it is.
No, really. I actually saw some stuff
You
that the
didn't
Grand
think
Moff
so, Simon?
Tarkin thing was actually not so bad.
What'd you think?
I didn't like it.
No.
I didn't find it creepy, but I didn't like it. But I think now, I think hopefully the series would have learned the lessons, and I think the only change it would have needed to do was not with The Last Jedi and Carrie Fisher in that, would have been changing anything after that. So I'm not suggesting that they kill her character off, but it's just a case of you have to slightly alter the story and take it out and put someone else in and find her. You write her out rather than killing her off.
Right, well,
that would have been. I mean, I wouldn't have expected them to go, okay, we're going to cut her out when she's already done the movie. I mean, we have had movies previously where a really good example
There are
was the Heath.
posthumous performances.
Yeah. Or you change the movie to a bit like they did with Dr. Parnassus, where obviously Heath Ledger died,
Right.
and then they changed it and they did something different. But when Carrie's completed the movie, I don't think you have to do. I mean, look, we're in an age now where Fast and Furious, obviously, where when Paul Walker died, they managed to end his storyline in a really nice and effective way. I think they can do a very similar thing with Carrie Fisher without having to show Leia on screen anymore, and it would just feel very naturalistic. Because even in TV shows and in movies, when you do change major casts, sometimes you write them out or you find a way of doing it. You don't have to have them killed on screen or you kill the characters off screen. There are ways of just changing that thing. So I think it'll affect it here on. I would have been very surprised if it would have changed what they were doing with The Last Jedi, which is most of the way to being finished anyway. It's quite late in the day to do that.
All right, let's move it on from Star Wars.
Okay.
Please, for the love of
I
God.
know you're not a
Absolutely.
big Star Wars fan, but it's
Absolutely.
It's
This is big news, Jeff. This is what the world's talking about.
not the world, just a very large ticket buying part of the cinema
I
going
know.
audience.
I'm looking
who
at it on
we
Twitter. I'm
serve.
telling you,
Yeah.
nobody cares about my 80,000 other tweets. It just appears to be this Han Solo thing.
Yeah.
All right, let's move it on to Spider-Man universe.
Okay.
Because Star Wars isn't geeky enough.
Right.
Let's go over.
Jesus Christ.
Let's go over to the superhero world.
Sony has hired Christopher Yost, the writer of the two Thor sequels, to pen a team-up movie, I guess, between Silver Sable and Black Cat.
Yeah.
It's not a Spider-Man spin-off because I don't think Silver Sable or Black Cat are in Spider-Man Homecoming.
Okay.
So they're not being spun off. It's just another corner of Sony's Marvel universe.
Post-credit sequence.
Right.
Post-credit
Maybe,
sequence.
Maybe. They have a lot of stuff to tease.
We should have a klaxon for that. Post-credit sequence.
Sony does control about 900 Marvel characters. Are you looking forward to this movie? Are you shocked and surprised? Give me the thoughts.
Nothing
All the
shocks or
thoughts.
surprises me at all about any of this, ever. Because if they have the characters, they're going to try to exploit them and make as much money as they can. Am I excited about it? Not even remotely.
Yeah.
Am I excited about it? No, I'm not. I mean, I don't know these characters, and I don't think what I refer to as normal people, the guy on the street, the cinema-going public who aren't into this as much as us, I don't think they really care or anything. But having said that, that's not to say that if they do this, it wouldn't be a success. I mean, look at Ant-Man, look at Doctor Strange.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
you're right.
wait.
But that's
I
Marvel.
disagree. Yeah, I disagree completely about that because people know who Ant-Man was Paul Rudd. It's part of the Marvel Universe. Doctor Strange has been around for 50 years and had hundreds of stories written about him, and Benedict Cumberbatch was on board, and it's the Marvel machine. I'm a big comic book guy, and even I will say Black Cat and Silver Sable are really minor players.
They would not be in the MCU. Spider-Man is technically in the MCU.
Yeah.
But
they
these
wouldn't
characters
be.
would not be.
Yeah, and Black Cat is, I heard that and I said, ugh.
And I don't even know, could you even have Spider-Man in that movie?
Why not?
Why not?
Or is it because they made this deal with Disney, and so, does Disney have any influence over where Spider-Man pops up and how?
My understanding is no.
Because if Spider-Man was in this movie, then it kind of links it. Like, how do you have is Spider-Man in the MCU or is he not?
No, I think that Marvel has access to Spider-Man, but that Sony controls Spider-Man. And Sony basically made the deal with Marvel that Feige and his team will produce the movies to make it all cohesive, and because of how well Marvel has produced their movies.
Sure, but now we're saying that this Silver Sable Black Cat thing is outside of Marvel's purview, right? So it's just Sony making this movie. So when Spider-Man pops up, they have to stick to the Spider-Man that is in the MCU universe, no? Do you get what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying, but that doesn't mean that he can't show up and make some kind of cameo to legitimize this thing and make it a more organic spin-off.
And you were saying that the Star Wars chat was too nerdy.
I know.
Jesus
I know.
Christ.
We're spinning out of control
but
here.
Going back to what Neil was saying, I mean, no, I get your point about the fact that Ant-Man, was a smaller character and the number of stories that Doctor Strange. But what my point is the fact that if you went to the average guy on the street and you asked them to list 50 before Ant-Man came out. 50 Marvel heroes, they could probably name 10, and I very much doubt that Doctor Strange or Ant-Man would have been on there. So they're in a similar vein to this. They're not canon.
I understand
characters.
that. I understand. Well, they are canon characters, but I think that wait a second. You're talking about Black Cat and
No, I'm
Silver
talking
Surfer?
about
You're
Ant-Man and Doctor Strange
Okay.
to give a comparison.
But the thing is, though, is that I don't know that they necessarily would have said Iron Man 10 years ago either.
No, I agree.
So
Certainly
I think
not
it's
in
all
the UK.
Right.
Thor was another one.
I'm saying it's inevitable that some of these movies are going to flop. Not every movie is going to be Iron Man. You're going to have some Fantastic Fours in there. This feels like it will be a Fantastic
this feels
Four
like a Fantastic
if
Four.
it ever gets made. But,
the other thing,
but it all depends on cast. I mean, shit, if you get Jennifer Lawrence to be Silver Sable or something, who knows?
Right.
I only have one request. If they are doing a Black Cat movie, then the Janet Jackson track Black Cat has to be in there somewhere.
Would you want Felicity Jones to come back?
Yeah.
I love Felicity Jones.
I would have Felicity Jones do anything.
I wonder if she's still under contract over there.
One last thing. I think that the other thing you're forgetting, too, is Ant-Man and Doctor Strange had as an advantage the infrastructure of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yes, they did.
So it's not like these movies were standalones and they came out of nowhere. They were brought forward and everybody knew what it was, and this is phase 3 and blah, blah, blah. So there was a lot of... So it's not like they just came out of nowhere.
That is a fair point. That is a fair point. But I mean, I had a conversation with someone the other day who was talking about the fact that Jake Gyllenhaal and Ryan Reynolds were working on a new movie that's set in space, and I'm like, that movie comes out on Friday. So a lot of what I refer to them as normal people, they aren't connected in the same way with advertising, with stories, with characters, with film releases, etc., as perhaps we are. So I'm just taking a...
Oh, no,
trying to
yeah,
look at it from
we live in a bubble. Believe me, my high school friends, my brothers, they don't care about any of this shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. None of my friends care about this stuff.
Let's talk about
That's why we're so popular.
Let's talk about fucking Deadpool 2.
They didn't forget us to invite us to the party.
Let's continue the Nerd Fest and go right to Deadpool 2.
Yeah.
This whole show is a nerd fest. What do you mean? This week, Hollywood Reporter came out, dropped the story that Michael Shannon is the front runner to play Cable.
I think it's great casting if it's him, but I'm disappointed because I love David Harbour and they originally were talking about him being Cable.
Yeah.
And then Collider the following day ran a scoop about Brad Pitt being eyed for Cable.
What?
Which I had already tweeted earlier.
That's not going to happen.
Listen.
Had you? I didn't see that.
Who knows if any of this stuff is going to happen? Like, if Michael Shannon really has been the front runner for as long as, the trades say he has, why hasn't he signed a deal yet? Like, I think that actors are scared off by the options required for this role.
I think this is all a distraction technique. I think, in fact, what they're going to do
They already
is
have their guy.
I think they're going to bring in the Cable Guy. I think Jim Carrey's character is going to make a crossover.
Boo.
Plot twist.
Boo.
Hey, I love that movie.
So you know what? So do I. And I would actually.
And anybody who doesn't is an asshole.
I would too.
But
Actually, now you mentioned it. I would say.
so here's the thing about Cable. The way I had sort of heard about the character, I thought that they were going to go in a sort of less known direction. I mean, Deadpool did so well. It's not like they need a name to give the sequel added punch.
No.
Michael Shannon, as much as I love him, and I do, he's a fucking fantastic actor.
Yeah.
We see him like 5 or 6 movies a year. We get a pretty heavy, steady dose of this guy, and I guess I wanted someone else to take a shot. Like I wanted someone to get an opportunity, someone outside the box. What did you guys think?
I mean, I like the idea of him being Cable, but I don't love the idea of him being Cable. I'm much more excited by several of the other names that have been mentioned.
Me too.
I mean, Arbor, Brosnan. I just. Even, God, ages ago, Henry Rollins and people like that. I would rather see...
Henry Rollins.
But like you, I don't...
He's fucking
That'd be
badass.
great.
That is one of those your ridiculous suggestions that I would actually go along
Do you know
with.
what? It's not actually ridiculous because I did a piece with him about a year ago
I know,
for
you told
Forbes.
me.
Yeah, and he's certainly that was at one point a discussion. The same, for him being Negan. I would like to see someone like that. I don't want to see someone as big as a star name as Ryan Reynolds opposite because then it kind of changes the whole dynamic of Deadpool.
It doesn't just change the whole dynamic of Deadpool or whatever. It changes the whole dynamic of Hollywood for the next few years because that's 6 movies or 5 movies that Michael Shannon is not in.
Well, one of the strong points of
Like
John Wick,
indie movies.
one of the strong points of John Wick 2 was the villain in that. Nobody really knew as a talent, but he was fucking badass.
The Italian guy.
Yeah. And he was absolutely superb. And seriously, he was one of the high points of the movie. I find it sometimes a little bit distracting when there are, it sounds like a stupid thing to say perhaps, but too many big names in a movie because you're kind of distracted by the talent as in a name rather than people just being really badass in their roles.
I actually agree with that.
Okay.
There is something to that. The idea that
overstuff a film.
It's like with the superhero movies that have too many villains.
Yeah.
You can have a movie with too many...
Spider-Man. Spider-Man.
Any of the Schumacher Batman movies.
Yeah.
Spider-Man 3.
Yeah.
The Amazing Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
The Garfield movies. I think that you can do the
Suicide
same...
Squad.
Okay, let me finish my fucking point, will you, for Christ's sakes? You can overstuff a movie with stars, and all of a sudden people are distracted. They're not watching the movie; they're watching the stars play these parts.
Okay, but this is definitely not a franchise that is like that. There's numerous movies we could talk about, but Deadpool is actually not one of them.
No, and I actually wouldn't. I have no problem with Michael Shannon playing that part. I understand your issue with it, but I think he's great casting.
Yeah, he'd be good. I'd still be surprised if he did it. That trade report, I don't know. We will see what comes of it. What else? All right, with the Brad Pitt stuff, I mean, I think that's just like if we can get him, you take him. I don't think Brad Pitt
Why would Brad Pitt
sign on to all those sequels. Well,
I don't know why Brad Pitt does
World War Z has stalled. James Gray's Ad Astra is not ready to get off the ground. So
well, here's a
he
thought.
has a slot.
And I kind of club Matt Damon in with this as well. Matt Damon and Brad Pitt and many people like him are big stars. Okay. But are they the box office poll to go and see movies because they're in it as much as...
Yes. That is the answer. Yes.
Yeah, but that's... well, it doesn't always work that way.
Unless it's a Chinese-American co-production.
Yeah, I was going to say...
But it doesn't always work that way, but...
Great Wall, if we're looking at...
Bourne did fine.
It did fine, but it didn't do amazing. Great Wall didn't do well.
I
but
actually blame that for
it,
being 10 years after the last movie than it was about... And the movie also was terrible.
But if you put Michael Shannon in The Martian, it doesn't gross that much money.
No, it doesn't gross anything. Nobody,
I mean, Matt Damon is a legit movie star.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Okay.
And I think Brad Pitt is a legit movie star, too.
There was another thing that I sort of tweeted about ahead of time or wrote about. The news that Dylan Clark may produce the Batman. Did you guys see that story this week?
Yeah, because he works with Reeves. So.
Exactly. He did the Ape Stories. I included this, last week there was a story about Dan Trachtenberg doing Space Race for Universal, with Dylan Clark. So Dylan sort of inherited the Bluegrass production company over at Universal with Stuber going off to Netflix.
But here's my question. What's the big deal if Clark is producing it? If he works with Reeves, what's the
It's a big deal because it's a new name taking a hold of the crown jewel of the DCEU. It's not Chuck Roven. It's not the Sniders. It's a fresh set of eyes, which I think the DCU sorely needs. Yes,
that's why they brought in Reeves. They needed.
I think that's why it's exciting. It's not confirmed that he is doing it yet. I'm sure Universal wants him focused on their projects since he's still based on the lot. I'm sure there's a lot of discussions right now. But Dylan Clark, one of the hottest producers in town, great buzz on Apes. I think it'd be cool if he came in and did Batman.
I agree.
Simon, what's next on your list?
Let's talk about the $30 home movie rentals for big theatrical releases. This is something that that came up about a year ago. There was a lot of chatter of this, making these, major cinema releases available at home and how much are people paying when people go for it. I honestly think that, it's great if you're paying $30 to watch a movie and you have your friends round, or it's two of you or three of you. Otherwise, it gets very, very expensive. And unless you've got a really kick-ass TV or a kick-ass setup, you are going to lose a lot of what these major releases bring to the table, which is great sound, great projection, great imagery, on a big screen, the environment of watching them in a theatre with everybody else. I would not do that. I would not invest in that whole watching a movie at home, $30. I would rather go to a theatre, because if it's a big enough movie for me to watch it, and pay $15 to go and see it at the theatre, I'm going to go to the theatre and I'm going to buy some popcorn, I'm going to buy some stuff like that, and I'm going to get the experience. I wouldn't want to watch Batman versus Superman, as an example, at home on my own.
Okay.
It wouldn't be the same.
That's you. There are a lot of people with 60, 72 inch TVs and home surround systems and all that stuff, stereo systems, and they are married and have kids, and for $30 they can stay in at night and watch the movie fresh and not have to spend the money to go out, and with babysitting and with dinner and everything else, it becomes a $200 evening as opposed to $30 to watch the thing in their home theater, and they don't have to deal with people talking behind them. They don't have to deal with all of the nonsense that goes along with often seeing a movie in the theater. So to me, it's a no-brainer. It's one of those things where you might not do it and I might not do it because I love going to the movies. I love the experience of sitting in the theater. As I know you do. But it's the idea of actually giving people options, and it's another revenue stream.
I absolutely get that. Here's two counterpoints. The thing is that if you're a family of 5 or whatever, or you're having a kids' party and you want to watch Finding Dory and you pay $30 and 18 people see it, and it's a lot cheaper for you, and that's fantastic. But that means there's 17 tickets that haven't been sold for that movie, which affects the box office revenue.
But would those tickets have been sold anyway?
Potentially.
Maybe not.
I also know people, and I do not condone this because it is illegal. I think there are a lot of people who, when they want to watch movies, I have friends that do this in the UK, if there's a new release and they can find it illegally on download, they will do. So they won't pay the $30, they'll try and find it illegally. And so they'll watch it with their kids on their big TV at home with their sound system.
But that's not going to
Piracy
change.
is obviously the biggest
that's
issue
not gonna
surrounding
change.
that stuff. I think $30 is a fantastic price point. And to be honest, I wouldn't even need a friend. I wouldn't need a date. I wouldn't need a roommate. I would spend $30 to watch it by myself in the dark in my living room.
See, there you go. So you're wrong. We're right and you're wrong.
Evidently.
That's all there is to it.
I just think...
Next topic.
Again, but Simon, you're saying, the studios would lose ticket sales or whatever, but they're the ones making the movies available. They're deciding that, that's the choice that they're making.
I think that they're seeing ticket sales plateauing and falling off.
Plus, I'm sorry, the difference though too. So everyone who does buy it at $30, that is normally a $15 ticket. So maybe the money that they're gaining because it's a higher price point, $30 than $15 or $10 ticket. I don't know.
It's $15 ticket in New York and LA. It's a cheaper ticket elsewhere. But the point is that I think that if you have this situation where the ticket sales are plateauing and falling off.
Yeah.
And the studios are looking for any way they can to get people to see their movies and see them fresh and not after they go to HBO.
Yeah.
So this is as good a way as any, I think. And I don't know. I think that's the way it works, and piracy is never going away. Piracy is just a reality.
Absolutely. Yeah. I also think, as you're talking about, going to the theatre and the prices and stuff like that, but if the theatre tickets are cheaper in different places, then the differential between buying a ticket to go and see in your local theatre in Alabama, where it might be $9 or $10,
right,
and then it's suddenly $30, and especially if you're, and that there are unfortunately big movies that are not good, the value that you're going to feel you get for seeing a movie that you don't really like for $9 over a movie that you're going to watch for $30.
You're taking choice out of the equation. They don't have to pay $30 to see the movie in Alabama. They can still go pay $9 for the theater. It's just choice. That's all it is.
Yeah, there is that choice. Yeah, absolutely.
Let's talk about Dr. DoLittle.
Mm-hmm.
Does this guy even have a fucking diploma? Robert Downey Jr. is going to play Dr. DoLittle, sparing us all Johnny Depp, who was just itching for a shot at this thing.
He was gnawing at the bit for that.
I was actually just thinking, literally, the day before this was announced, about Dr. DoLittle and how I'd love to see Melissa McCarthy do a take on that. I think she would have crushed it. Downey Jr. a little bit more of a conventional choice, but he's one of our true charming movie stars. It sounds like it'll work.
Look, we talked about this before. I have a general one of my operating theses in my column is that no true movie star takes a part that's larger than he or she is. So Robert Downey Jr., while a star, is identified very closely with Tony Stark and Sherlock Holmes, and now Dr. DoLittle. DoLittle has been around for 100 years, and we've seen it before, the character before. Tom Cruise, for instance, is a real movie star, is a true movie star because you don't identify him with any one role.
Oh, I see.
Right?
Well, but Robert Downey Jr. is Sherlock Holmes too.
Yeah, but they're both those parts are bigger than he is.
I see what you mean. I see what you mean.
Tom Cruise, Ethan Hunt is Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise is not Ethan Hunt.
Mm-hmm.
Robert Downey Jr. is Tony Stark, or to a lesser extent, Sherlock Holmes. But this is just yet another one of these big things. And look, God bless him. Let him take do another one of these big movies. But to me, it's boring.
Simon, how do you feel about RDJ talking to animals?
I think probably Johnny Depp wasn't available. So
I'm pretty sure he was.
Yeah, true. Robert Downey Jr. It doesn't excite me. I think Robert Downey Jr. I think has a lot of franchises going on. I'm assuming they would look at this as potentially a franchise. I think he's better than that. I think he doesn't. And I discussed this before the show, and I know not everybody agrees with me, but I think Robert Downey Jr. is better when Robert Downey Jr. really needs the work. I mean, if you look at movies like Kiss Kiss Bang Bang and stuff like that, yeah, great movies. He turns in some of his best work, and he's more, I think, focused on projects rather than potential revenue and franchises, etc., and career things, and makes better movies when he does these slightly more involved things. He'll be great at it.
He could do this in his sleep, which is the worry.
Right. Yeah, that's why I think it's boring.
So I think what he needs to do is take a few more risks.
I want to see him do something gritty.
Yeah, I want to see him doing more stuff that's
like Zodiac.
Bit more adult.
Zodiac was great.
Yeah, bit more adult,
Zodiac.
bit more gritty. Perhaps not as far as box office. As
I really like The Soloist. Did you ever see that?
Yeah, great movie. It's when actually some of his best movies are when he's taking these risks and doing something a little bit different. He's got too many of these things on the go. Like Johnny Depp for me, he's got so many of these things on the line.
Look, I didn't think The Judge was a great movie, but I appreciated the fact that he actually made an effort to do something different.
Yeah, and I wanted to see more from that character, that story. That could have been something quite interesting he could have done.
I like him. I liked the fact that he did something that wasn't. It's the only time in the last 10 years he hasn't played either Tony Stark or Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, and it was terrible.
No, I said it's not. The movie doesn't work, but I like the fact that he took that chance. Look at what he does in Tropic Thunder, for crying out loud.
Do you think this will be like a big broad comedy like Eddie Murphy movies, or because I'm getting the vibe that it'll be more like Oz the Great and Powerful?
Yeah, I'm thinking it'll have quirk and humor, but it won't be a comedy.
Okay.
And I think that's the right decision to make, because I think you don't want to effectively reboot a comedy as another comedy if you're going to do something like DoLittle. I think you can do it with that, take it in a slightly different thing, because Dr. DoLittle was never originally a comedy. Take it back more towards the origins and do that.
Taking it to the streets.
Well, the Rex
to
Harrison
the
version
streets.
was pretty straightforward, just a straightforward musical.
Musical. So do that.
Kids love that. Rex
Really
Harrison
interesting
version.
question. Just backtracking ever so slightly, talking about the we were talking
Backtrack
about the
alert.
$30, the home movie rentals for $30. Somebody in the chat is actually Dylan Flickinger made a really good point. Why not do a movie subscription service to rent out only theatrical releases? So you pay a chunk each month, and then you can watch as many as you like. So if you paid, say,
That sounds dangerous.
$80, and then you could watch. A lot of cinemas in the UK do this. You pay like a monthly thing, like £30 or £40 a month, and then you can go and see as many new releases as you want, or as many movies as you want within that month.
Well, I
Might
mean,
work.
there's the service that Sean Parker has been trying to get off the ground with like the $150 box, and then it's a certain amount of money per release that you can watch at home. I think that's different from the $30 thing they're talking about.
Yeah.
But there is, I mean, it's one of the things.
How much
they're-
would you pay for unlimited movies? That's the question.
I'd pay $75 a month.
75 a month.
I would get rid
okay.
of my cable, and I would do that. I'd go basic cable and pay $75. I would probably watch 3 movies. Realistically,
3 movies a
that way.
month?
3 movies a month.
So
Personally,
you're paying $25 per movie.
I'd say on average 3. Sometimes I'd watch more, sometimes I'd watch less.
Let's talk about Schooms.
Yes.
Amy Schooms.
Yeah.
I literally had no idea who you were talking about.
Schooms?
when you first said
Mushrooms.
Schooms, yeah.
Let's talk about magic mushrooms.
I'm a big Amy Schumer fan.
Me too.
I'm
I
not.
think she's
I enjoy her.
hilarious.
Yeah.
And I watched the show and I dug Trainwreck. So her new special was not good and it got killed. The reviews were really bad. I thought she was just kind of, it was lazy. She was just kind of coasting the first half an hour. It was all dicks, pussies, and assholes, literally. I don't think there was a joke that wasn't about oral sex or something to that effect.
Where can I watch this?
So I would like to see her sort of expand her horizons and challenge herself as a comedian. But she is doing that as an actress. She decided to drop out of Barbie yesterday. Her war movie, or PTSD drama, Thank You for Your Service, got a release date in October, right in the heart of award season. And then she signed on to a movie with Steve Carell and Nicole Kidman.
Yeah.
So it seems like those are. It was a good day for Amy Schumer yesterday, and I feel like she needed it. Where did you fall on the Barbie thing?
I think it's a shame that she's dropped out because I would have liked to have seen her do that. But there was someone that instantly sprung to mind to me who I would like to see in that role. It's not Kevin Hart, even in a dress. It's Gillian Bell.
Sony loves her.
Sony loves her.
Yeah, she's in
and
Rough
she's
Night and
kind of she's
Jump
that
Street.
level B if you need a strong female who can do a bit of comedy but also do something a bit more. When she does straight-faced gravitas type stuff, even in a comedic way, she's killer. I love her. So I would see really.
I'd be down with that.
Yeah, I think Gillian Bell. I think she's about to be massive. Gillian Bell. I mean, I think she's popular now. People know her as, she's that one from that thing. But I think she's about to go where everybody knows.
We'll see if she
Bell
gets
is.
a bounce off that Scarlett Johansson movie, Rough Night.
Yeah.
she
I
does
actually
kind
like
of steal the trailer.
Yeah, I like Gillian Bell a lot. I think she's very talented. I'm not an Amy Schumer fan.
So what don't you like about her? Obviously, she's controversial, a little bit polarizing. She can rub some people the wrong way.
Her humor doesn't speak to me. I just don't think she's funny. I mean, I get that she's...
You don't even think she's funny. Like, she's just not a funny person.
No, she's amusing, but I mean, her comedy doesn't speak to me. I'm not a fan of her work.
Oh man, come on, Neil. She's like one of the funniest women on the planet. Like, even though I don't think this special was good,
she's a funny
woman.
She's fucking funny, dude. Come on.
I'm not saying that she's humorless. I'm saying that her comedy doesn't speak to me. I'm not a fan of her work. I didn't watch the special. I've seen her do stand up before. I kind of go, meh, all right, you know. It's just not my thing.
I think
I didn't like Trainwreck either.
Expectations
Trainwreck
for
to me
her
was just a standard romantic comedy.
I thought Trainwreck was good, but I didn't think it was brilliant. I know a lot of
I'm
people,
with you on that.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
Yeah.
But that again, that's on Judd. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think that's even on her.
For me, Trainwreck was a film that I think could have been 25 minutes shorter.
As most of Judd's movies,
all of his movies.
But
can
it was
be.
it was a series of really good ideas strung together to make a movie, and I think some of it was underwritten, some of it was overwritten. I think when it hit really really hard. Did I think it was the Bridesmaids of that year, where it was a consistently strong female movie? I didn't.
Well, looking at this news from another point of view, like
I
how
like
do you
her.
feel about toy sales sort of dictating casting? Because the decision that was the reason that was stated in Variety was that Mattel has a toy manufacturing schedule to keep up with, and they had expected a Barbie movie to hit next June, and so that's what they're planning their line for essentially. So
Well, in the nicest possible
so
way.
there's a scheduling conflict
there's
for
not,
Amy.
Well, there's not a huge amount of difference between Amy Schumer and Gillian Bell visually. I mean, there are
Sure, but-
similarities. So if you're worrying about which mold you're going to use,
let me ask.
they're kind of
Let me ask you. Which
the aesthetic wouldn't change.
do they need a name like an Amy Schumer, or is Barbie the name?
Barbie's
Barbie's
the name.
It's the
Barbie's the
concept
name.
is the star.
Yeah.
That's a movie where the concept is the star.
So you
And
think they could get anybody?
I think
Yeah.
they can get anybody. And I'll tell you something else. The idea was that a legitimate question? Are toy sales dictating a release date? Because of course that you have to know that's
Yes. No, I am aware, and that's why we don't have a Tron sequel either,
right.
because
Well,
the Tron merch didn't sell.
Yeah.
right. Yeah. I mean, it's just that's the way of the world.
I know that movies are green lit around merch. Like, we're going to make this movie because we need to sell this product. And it's fun. I get that that's the case with Barbie too, since she is the world's most popular doll. I just don't like the timing, like saying, if Amy can't fit into her schedule, fucking delay the movie for 6 months. If that's who you want to work with, and that's
Yeah.
who you want to be,
But
Barbie
it's not
and
about
the face of the brand,
But it's not
essentially.
about. But it's not about working with Amy Schumer. It's about selling $1 billion worth
they're-
of toys.
Yeah, I guess.
And if they think they can sell $1 billion worth of toys with whomever plays that part,
But here's the thing: what if it's a bad movie? Then it
of
hurts.
course
then
it's going to be a bad movie.
Then it hurts
It's
the
Barbie.
merch, though. Then it hurts. That's
No,
why
it doesn't.
Not necessarily.
disagree. I disagree.
Cars, here's an example. Cars, way not the best Pixar movie. Sells shitloads of merchandise, even more than Toy Story now.
But think of all these video games that you have not seen made into a movie yet. It's because the video game developer can't risk a bad movie that hurts the brand.
Well, the other thing too is that these video games are making so much money on their own.
Well, that's true,
That you
yeah.
don't need to make them into a movie.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, these video games
They
are
make
making
half a billion
they're,
opening weekend.
yeah, they're making more than the movies would,
Right, 'cause
would
it
make.
costs
So what's the
$50.
point?
That was a good discussion here on Meet the Movie Press.
Yeah,
I'm here for another 20 minutes.
Yeah, I think I would go.
Let me drop some.
Gyllenhaal.
Let me drop some
Someone
rumors.
said Chloe Grace Moretz, and I'm like, I don't think she'd be right. She'd be too.
Who said? Oh, I don't know.
One of the guys in the chat said Chloe Grace Moretz, and I'm like, I don't know.
As Barbie,
Yeah.
he should be kicked out of the.
Well, I don't know
challenge.
what they're going with. Are they still going to use Amy Schumer's draft, and have that tone, or maybe they're going to tailor it to
Oh, did she write it too?
Yeah, she did. She did
yeah.
a pass on it. Okay, there's a whole bunch of other stuff, but I
let's
wanted
do
to
it.
drop some rumors.
I
Yeah,
like playing squash. That rumor.
these are new rumors. Let's check in on Gambit.
Okay.
The movie that
movie-
never was.
And never really should
I don't know what the
be.
question is, but I'm going to go either Jason Momoa, Kevin Hart, The Rock.
Well, it's already Channing
It's
Tatum.
Channing Tatum.
Yeah, it's still him. They
Damn.
need a director on this movie. That
Okay.
is what's going on. And I heard that a couple.
Wasn't Matt Reeves originally part of that discussion? And then
No,
it was
Doug Lyman.
But there was somebody before Doug Liman.
Rupert Wyatt.
Rupert Wyatt. That's who it was. Sorry.
So I heard 2 more Fox directors passed on this movie, but it gives you an idea. Fox likes to go out with the people that they're already in business with.
Okay.
So I heard that they went to Gore Verbinski, who's coming off Cure for Wellness, which bombed. I don't even know why, but they would go to him after that movie. But he has the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise under his belt. He can deliver
Strike
something
2.
that looks big. Anyways,
The first one's good.
The first one is
First one's really good.
Gore wasn't interested, and I also heard that they went to Francis Lawrence, who did the Hunger Games
Yeah.
sequels, and he's doing Red Sparrow for Fox with Jennifer Lawrence,
Jennifer
which
Lawrence.
comes out this fall. It sounds like he also passed on Gambit. So Gambit still looking for a director. A couple other director searches going on in town.
Okay.
It sounds like Akira starting to meet with some people.
Okay.
One was David Sandberg, but he's doing the Black Adam movie, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think he's probably already got a Warner Brothers job. But one person to keep an eye on for Akira is actually Daniel Espinosa, the director of Life.
I was going to say.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm told he met on Akira, and then back at Fox over for Escape from New York.
Yeah.
Two names.
Great.
I'm hearing.
Another remake we don't need.
Yeah.
I love that
So it's kind of interesting. So one of the names was David Mackenzie, director of Hell or High Water,
My favorite movie of 2016.
and the other is Robert Rodriguez, who is doing Angel Battle, Alita.
Battle Angel.
Yeah.
Battle Angel.
Alita Battle Angel,
Who has
right?
never been mentioned,
For Fox right now.
Yeah.
So it would make sense that he would meet with them, and he actually strikes me as a good fit for Escape from New York as well. The thing about Mackenzie meeting on Escape from New York, I wonder if that is a signal about who is getting the Scarface job. Because it was rumored to be between Mackenzie and Peter Berg. And I had a hard, given all that Peter Berg has done with Universal, I had a hard time seeing Universal picking Mackenzie over Berg. So, what if, if all the sort of cards were shuffled, who would you want to see directing Escape from New York? Who would you want to see directing Scarface between those two guys? Gambit? Is there, anybody who comes to mind?
Okay, Escape from New York. I would like to see Guy Ritchie after Man from U.N.C.L.E.
Guy Ritchie's Escape from New York.
Yeah.
Man from U.N.C.L.E. was terrible.
I love Man from U.N.C.L.E. I really enjoyed that. You
Oh,
liked
I
it
was
too, didn't
bored
you?
to tears.
I liked Man from U.N.C.L.E.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I would like to see Daniel.
I don't even know what to say to that. I'm
Great.
shocked.
Yeah.
I would like
It
to
didn't
see.
do well. I mean, the public is on your side. We're in the minority.
I guess I'll take that. I'll
But
take that win because I walked out. I was
saw
like
enough-
yawning.
I saw King Arthur doesn't look good. I don't know. I don't know if I can see Guy Ritchie's Escape from New York. Maybe if it was like Escape from London.
Slakes. No, I'd
Like
like to
Idris
see.
Elba in Escape from London.
That's
That would
a movie
be
I would
fucking
watch.
badass.
That's cool.
I would watch that
Idris
movie.
Elba as Snake Plissken.
I would like to see Daniel do. I'd like to see him do Gambit. Actually,
Daniel
Having
Espinosa for
yeah.
Gambit. He definitely
Having
fits
watched
like that
Life,
Rupert Wyatt.
Yeah, I think he'd be. And I will talk about Life later, but I really enjoyed
Would
that.
you
this
rather
week.
see him do Gambit or Akira?
I would rather
Espinosa.
see him do Gambit.
Okay.
And here's a probably a stupid thing. I would like to see Ben Wheatley or Gareth Edwards do Akira.
I'm waiting for the
I
Ben
would love
Wheatley
it.
comment.
Gareth Edwards or Gareth Evans?
Gareth Edwards.
Gareth
Okay.
Edwards, who just did Rogue One.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, hey, that would,
Gareth Evans would be
That
great
would
for
be
Escape
cool.
from New York as well.
listen.
Gareth Evans is the guy who did the Raid movies.
Yeah.
I'm just mixed on. I'm just mixed on Wheatley.
Lot
Keeping
of
it straight.
Gareth.
Keeping it straight. Yep. yep.
I would want to see him prove himself on a studio level before giving him one of those huge tentpoles. He has a huge movie at Warner Brothers, like Hard Boiled or whatever the hell it is. I forget what it's called.
Who
up there.
directed Dread? I've forgotten.
Alex Garland.
Yeah.
Right? No. Pete Travis directed Dread.
Yeah.
Alex Garland directed Ex Machina. He
Right.
didn't do
Alex
Dread.
Garland. He wrote Dread.
Okay.
He wrote Dread.
Alex Garland did?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay, so let's
Dread's a good
put,
movie.
let's put the director of Dread on
He
Akira
has
or
he even
Escape
gotten
from
another
New York.
job since Dread?
I
That
don't
would be
think so.
fucking cool.
It would be cool. I'm full
I
of
love
great
Dread.
ideas. Or John McTiernan.
You really are today. You're fucking bringing your
I'm
A
fucking
game,
on
kid.
fire. I am on fire.
John
I'm-
McTiernan.
Yeah. No, but seriously, I think there's a solid. And some of them don't have projects right now. So
I like
But
that.
there
All right. That's enough rumors and directors. What else do we have this week? Did you see the Deathnote trailer?
I did not.
Oh man,
It
you
dropped
guys.
when I was watching Life, and I just haven't got back round to it.
Again, it's like I thought it looked pretty cool. I've been reading the Death Note stuff. I was just bummed by all like the whitewashing accusations. You literally can't. There's just every other movie gets accused of whitewashing these days. What else is going on? What's next on your list?
Okay, let's do some quick ones. Movies that we don't need. Zombieland 2 is apparently still in development.
Don't need it.
I love Zombieland. I don't want another Zombieland movie. I think it was a great standalone piece with a great cast, great fun, really delivered. I don't think we need it. I think Hollywood should just close the book on that.
Agreed.
Yeah. Ivan Reitman says there are multiple Ghostbusters movies in development. This is
Don't need 'em.
coming from this is obviously coming from Ivan Reitman. I don't think we need it, but I genuinely I know a lot of people didn't like Ghostbusters last year, and it fell far short of what it should have been. But I still think there is life in this franchise, and I would be at least very interested.
I think we
to
do.
hear.
We do need them actually.
Yeah,
because
I think it would be good. I want to see. I think there's a lot of things we can do that.
we need to wash the taste out of our mouth for that
You see,
Ghostbusters
I
movie.
didn't hate that as much as everybody else did. It was not a great movie, but I didn't despise it. But I do want to see what else is in that pot. And also Terminator Genesis. The sequel is officially dead, like totally dead, like not happening. But apparently we're going to find out soon, later this year, about what the future of the franchise in general is going to be. And someone internally was quoted this week as saying that the franchise has a bright future in some form. I mean, for me, Salvation didn't work. Genesis didn't work. Terminator 3 didn't work. We've only had 2 great Terminator movies. Even though I revisited Salvation quite recently, and actually it wasn't as bad as I initially thought it was.
It's pretty bad.
It's pretty bad, but it's not actually as terrible. But it's not as terrible as I remember it being. But I do think, I think there's something that can potentially be done with Terminator, but they just keep dropping the ball.
In 2019 with Tim Miller.
Yeah. I mean, I think
once the rights go back to Cameron.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think I don't know what they're going to do with it, but hopefully, as we'll find out later this year, exactly what those plans are.
And apparently, the future is sunny.
Yeah, it is. It's a bright future. But Terminator Genesis was just terrible. I revisited
I'd
that
rather
again
have another
recently.
Ghostbusters movie with Channing Tatum and Chris Pratt than.
I don't need another Ghostbusters movie.
I'd rather have a good one in both franchise. Because I think the last ones fell short. And usually I'm saying don't go back to a lit firework. That's a bad idea. But genuinely, I think there is something still there, but they just haven't tapped it.
Honestly, if I was Sony looking at these R-rated grosses for Deadpool and Wolverine, I would go R-rated Ghostbusters.
Yeah, I'd go R-rated Ghostbusters, and I would
enough
go
of this
balls to
kiddie
the
shit.
wall with Terminator.
What else? We've got Brie Larson signed on to play
I saw
America's
this week.
first female presidential candidate, Victoria Woodhull.
Yeah, someone
I'd
I was
never
not-
heard of her.
Neither had I.
Yep, lost to the sands
Clearly,
of
you're both
history.
heathens who don't know your history.
Yeah.
Well, I'm British, so that's kind of my disability.
So you're a heathen in a totally different.
I am in a
totally
different-
reason.
I cheated my way through history class.
I buy it. I buy it. I buy it.
Pretty slow.
Did you just write, it happened, get over it?
Yeah.
Brie Larson, we had this conversation about 2 weeks ago off the back of Kong, because we said that she needs to get something that is meaty, like what she had in Room, that is really good and dramatic and a really full character. This could potentially be the one for her right now. It's
And
just
this
like
is
an idea.
she's going to do this and then go into play, and then she's going to play Carol Danvers. Captain Marvel. This will be the
yes,
bridge in
supposedly.
between.
I'm assuming so.
Although, yeah, okay. So I think she was
I think she's great.
suffragette.
I thought Kong was a piece of dung. I couldn't
Yeah.
stand. I thought it was terrible. I couldn't understand all the great reviews. I thought it was a piece of shit. But
I really enjoyed it.
But I liked her in it. I like her in pretty much anything I see her in. I think she's terrific.
Have you guys seen Free Fire yet?
No, I'm seeing
but
it
I
in a couple
know
of
your
weeks.
feelings on it.
Yeah, I want to hear what you guys think of that. I just think she needs another role that can demonstrate that she can act. And Free Fire and Kong back to back doesn't really show what she's capable of.
Well, no,
so.
we've seen what she's capable of. She won an Oscar for it.
Yeah, I know, but
Yeah.
okay, proof,
Dude, keep doing it. Keep it
Yeah,
up. Yeah, no, I'm with
Keep
it.
doing it.
Yeah.
Did you see the Fargo trailer this week?
No.
Oh man,
That
you
show
will
looks
not watch
so
the
good.
show?
I have not. I've never got around to watching.
Oh
Simon,
my God, the show
watch
is so
the
good.
show.
Come on! I'm watching Bar Rescue and Kitchen
Stop.
Nightmares.
Oh,
Stop
Fargo is
everything
so
you're doing and watch
good.
Fargo.
Yeah, I have.
Do
I
yourself
have
a
the
favor.
discs at home.
I watched it. It's so good. I can't wait for the new season.
Yeah, I'm
Noah
pumped.
Hawley's a
Couple of
genius.
weeks. He really is.
Yeah.
I mean, Legion is great. I've seen now 3 seasons of his shows, and they are fantastic.
I have a bunch of bits and bobs here to get through.
Bits and bobs.
And in the booth, how much time do we have left in this wonderful show?
1 hour.
About 3 minutes.
Just 3 minutes. Okay.
All right.
Okay. Yeah. If you could just throw a clock up on the screen,
Because
that
we've
would
got
be
box
amazing.
office to go through as well.
Oh yeah. Then why don't you do box office and we'll end with the bits and bobs.
Okay, so 3 releases this week, really, to take note of. Power Rangers, Life, and Chips. Power Rangers and Life both previewed on Thursday.
By the way, I did not see any of these movies.
Okay.
Okay.
I have seen 2 of
And I'm
them.
upset about that. I just want everyone to know watching.
Okay, so Power Rangers got 3.6 million previews, which is pretty strong. That's comparing that to say Kong, that's 3.7 million. Kong went on to have a 61 million weekend. Apparently, predictions for Power Rangers are about 30 million. I think it'll do more than that.
I think
we
it'll be
can see
closer to
it.
40.
Yeah,
35
I think
to 40.
I think 35-40 is a really good one. Only cost 100 million to make, so that's pretty good. Marketing budget will lift that, of course. Life, which I saw this week and absolutely loved.
You loved it,
I
really?
really
Justin liked it.
enjoyed
My
it.
roommate saw it last night. He came home. He was fucking shocked that
Yeah,
I'm
I was
so
really
surprised.
The trailer did not do this film any service whatsoever.
I've been hearing really negative stuff about it.
I
Jeff
really
Wells
enjoyed
shit
it.
all over it. Like I don't know who to believe. I don't know who
No,
to believe.
no, go and see it
still don't
yourself
believe
and
it.
make up your own opinion.
I am going to because
I'm
it's
gonna
Jake
see it.
Gyllenhaal.
Yeah, I really
Maybe
enjoyed
we'll go
it.
after this, Neil. Maybe we'll
you
blow
know
off work. I'm in charge.
Hooky?
Here's the thing.
Hooky?
I don't think that the main cast that everybody knows are the best thing in this movie.
Right, so this is a supporting cast, right?
Yeah, so
Okay.
I want to talk
I heard
about
one of
that
the women
next
was
week.
really like the
Cool.
Russian woman.
We can
or
talk about
something.
this next week. Life only took 800,000 last night, looking at a 15 million weekend. Deserves to do
Not doing
2025. That's not great. It deserves to do more. It's a really decent monster in space movie.
Okay.
So you're saying it was poorly marketed?
I think the trailer has not done it any favors.
You liked Calvin?
So then, yes, it
Yeah,
was
I
poorly
did.
marketed.
Yeah, I think it was poorly
Calvin.
marketed. Chips, 8 million looking at weekend. Reviews are not great on that. Only cost 25 million to make. We'll see how that does, but I don't think they're going to pick a lot of money up internationally because Chips is kind of 1970s, not really in sort of psyche of many other markets,
Right.
and it doesn't appear the domestic market is that interested in it either. But we'll see. I mean,
They kept it cheap. It was like a $20 million
yeah,
movie. For
it was a
New Line.
25 million movie on a tag
And it's
on
Michael
that.
Pena in a lead. So
Yeah.
what are we complaining about?
I will probably go and pay to see that at some point next week. But
Me too.
Power Rangers.
I might do
as-
a double header.
Quick reviews. Power Rangers as a movie, it's great fun. It's dumb as hell. And it lays stuff on with the trowel, but
Shocker.
I had some fun with it. I did enjoy it. I had a couple of drinks beforehand. Enjoyable, really good.
Who was your favorite Ranger?
I don't have a favorite Ranger. I'm a grown man.
The blue one, R.J. Seiler,
Yeah, yes.
the kid from Me and
Yeah,
Earl?
he's really funny. And I also like the Naomi Scott. She
Okay.
plays like the bitch of the school. I think she was really
She
cool.
was almost leading Tomorrowland. She came very close.
She's really, really cool, and she's really nice as
She
well.
dodged a bullet there.
I would go and see this. It's good fun. Interesting. I had a conversation. Obviously, the story came out this week again about them looking at doing a 6 or 7 movie franchise with this, looking at a 2-3 arcs. Yeah. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I know they are already having negotiations with people, big names, for the villain in the next one.
Ooh.
Those talks are currently underway. Conversations are being
thanks.
had, so they know where they're taking this, and they're certainly planning on to at least make a second movie. Those conversations are going
Well,
on.
We'll
Interestingly,
see.
that's what today's column is about.
Interesting.
We will see. Yeah, we will see how the international numbers on that because that's a global. plot.
Life, good monster movie. Really enjoyed it. It was a good popcorn movie, and it was very tense and exciting. I really enjoyed that. But like I say, the strength of that movie is not necessarily the main well-known cast members. It's the supporting cast. One guy in particularly blew me away. We'll talk about that next week.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna do some bits and bobs for a minute and a half before we have to sign off.
Bits and bobs.
Jake Gyllenhaal, Daniel
Yep.
Espinosa getting back together
Great.
for the Anarchist versus ISIS. Didn't really excite me. Another Middle East drama. I don't need ISIS movies. That's not. I don't know. Meh. Anything?
I think a lot of these villains in the movies are interchangeable.
Oh, it's a bold films thing, so you would never talk.
No.
talk a little bit.
Seriously, I think they're all interchangeable. I think whether it's ISIS or whether it's Al Qaeda or whether it's whatever, I just think they're just another war movie.
I like the idea of another Jake Gyllenhaal
Yeah.
war movie after Jarhead.
Yeah.
but
I like Jarhead.
I don't
Yeah.
know. The Anarchist versus ISIS. There's going to be a Trayvon Martin movie.
Yes, I saw that.
Apparently,
surprised it
there
took
are
this long.
bidders circling.
Weinstein's.
Yeah, again, I don't know how I feel about this one. It just feels weird. I'm sure it's how the Boston Marathon movie felt to some people, where it's just like too soon.
I was surprised that didn't gel more with audiences.
The Boston Marathon movie?
No,
Me too.
Patriots Day.
Patriots Day.
Yeah.
I think
'cause it was great.
I think part of the reason is because, and I remember my dad and I talking about this, is we both agreed it would have been riveting if we didn't know what was going to happen. It just kind of was one of those things.
We knew it was going to happen in Titanic and still made $2 billion. Issa Rae, who I love and adore on Insecure. Love
It's
this
Oh,
an odd
girl.
analogy, but go ahead.
Joining Bill Hader in Empress of Serenity. Evan Rachel Wood making her directorial debut on a road trip movie with Jenny Slate, Allison Pale, Cynthia Erivo. We have exclusive details of that on the tracking board. Bad Robots Overlord. It's like a D-Day movie.
Yeah.
Wyatt Russell and Jovan Adipo from Fences. They are going to star in that. Two young up-and-comers. Scorsese cinematographer Rodrigo Prieto making his directorial debut with Bastard, a revenge thriller. Scorsese is going to executive produce. Jordan Horowitz, the producer of La La Land, is going to produce.
Nice.
And the hero of the Oscars.
Yeah. Kate McKinnon and Mila Kunis teaming up for The Spy Who Dumped Me. I love that we're getting Kate McKinnon as a lead. And finally, last night, tracking board exclusive, Dakota Johnson to star in Queens of the Stone Age for Sony about GQ article about a high-end weed delivery service run by models. That'll do it for Meet the Movie Press this week. Neil, where can the good folks find you?
Tracking-board.com. My column every Monday, Wednesday, Friday will run this afternoon. I am also on Twitter at my name, at Neil Turitz, NeilTuritz.
Simon?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at ShowbizSimon. You can also find me on Facebook. This is Simon Thompson.
And I am Jeff Sneider. Make sure to follow us over at the tracking board, at the InSneider on Twitter. And again, guys, thanks for watching the Popcorn Talk Network.
Yeah.
Make sure to rate, comment, subscribe,
Tell
all
your
that good
friends.
stuff. Exactly. Tell your mom. Moms love me. Grandmothers love me. Have a great weekend. You just met the movie press.
producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, Christian Harloff, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of its owners or principals.